Hey, hello everyone, welcome to the Data Scientist. I am Ranjit. Today we'll be diving into the most exciting world of data science with our series, the Data Science 101. So this series will have 100 videos or more than 100 videos. We will be covering the basics about the Python and the machine learning and its components, and then we will also cover the neural network and its component. Then we'll go to the database side, we'll cover the big data, and probably we'll be also be covering the AWS, then all the major algorithms, and then we will go on to the data and the visualization, which is one of the most important topics when it comes to data science. 70 to 80% of the topics or the videos in this whole series will be about the real world projects, and then we will try to cover most of the domains which use those kind of, let's say, particular real world scenarios. And then I will also try to make sure that we cover the interview question and answers based on those, say, the real world project. So first, let's understand what the data science is and why is it really important to learn. Well, see, we all have so much of data in the world, and I have seen couple of videos which mentions that we use only 5% of data, or let's say we process only 5% of data across the world. But why do we need the data science? That's $1 million question. Whenever we use the data science to analyze and to explore the insights about that data gets converted into information. If you only have the data and if you don't have the information from that data, then that data is useless for you, right? Or let's say it's useless for any of the industries. You can keep on recording data, or let's say you can keep on saving the data, but if it is not informational data, then it's of no use. So for that reason, we use a data science to get the information or insights from that particular data. Now let's discuss about the key components about the data science. So first of all, we have the data collection, which is one of the most critical process in the data science. So it's not only about collecting the data, but we also need to make sure that we are collecting or gathering the relevant data to gain the information from that data. So after the data collection, of course, it needs to be cleaned as well. So we have to make sure that the quality is there in the data that we collected, and we have to make sure there is no errors in that data, because it's not easy to process the data to get the information if it has so much of errors and if the data is dirty. Make sure to clean that data, and you know the process how to clean that data, because then only we can analyze it. So the next topic is all about the data analysis. We use statistical methods, or let's say we use different types of tools to analyze the data. Sometimes we use Excel very commonly, and then we have some great tools to analyze the data. Last but not the least, the topic in the data science component is the machine learning. Well, machine learning is more about teaching the machines to learn the patterns, and then based on that, whenever it gets the data in the future, it can predict based on the previous data pattern. So this is all about the machine learning. If you don't have the correct data, or if you don't have the relevant data, then you will not be able to analyze the data for sure. For an example, let's say you need to build a house. If you don't have a correct size of bricks, or let's say correct volume of bricks as well. So in the similar way, we need to have a relevant data to get the information out of that particular data. Now there are two types of data. One, we have the quantitative data, and then we have qualitative data. So in the qualitative data, describes the characteristics of the data. For an example, let's say what is the color, or let's say what is the emotion of a particular person, or let's say a living being. So this is one type of data that we have. Then we have quantitative data, in which deal with the quantities that can be measured. For an example, the number of subscribers in our channel is a quantitative data, and sometimes I would say quantitative data leads to your qualitative data as well. So when you have a quantitative data, then only you can get to know whether you have a quality data or not. It's not like always, but it does happen. Now let's discuss about what are the methods to do the data collection. There are several ways or methods to collect the data, but what I have seen in this recent time is more about the users, or let's say people are very much by giving their information. For an example, let's say you have seen people going around with the coupons for, let's say the lottery system and all, or gift hampers. So in that, you are supposed to give your mobile number, your email ID, which country you live, or let's say which state you live. So in that way, you are providing your data to the companies to analyze about you. So those kind of surveys are a great way of collecting the data. Then we have interviews, which also provides in-depth insights, especially in the qualitative analysis. Then we have observations about the environment that we have around. And last but not the least, we have digital world data. We can scrap the data from multiple websites. So this scrapping is done with the help of couple of libraries. We will go through that, and we can extract the data from any kind of website. Now, what are the challenges that we face while collecting the data? Sometimes the data can be collected easily, but what happens is to be biased data. So when we analyze the data, or let's say when we come onto some predictions, we come across a very common terminology which is called a biased data. So we don't treat the data equally, all the data equally, or the collection of data equally. That causes sometimes the predictions to be inaccurate. That's one of the challenges that we face. And then we have privacy concerns. Sometimes the data that you need might be under the microscope of privacy as well, right? So you might not be able to get that data. And sometimes you have incomplete data. Some websites provide the data, but then you have to pay for that. Now let's discuss about what are the best practices that we can do in data collection. So the first thing that we need to understand is what type of analysis are we going to do with the data, and what type of data do we really need. So for that, we need to plan our data collection systematically. It's just not like you collect all the data, keep it in the folder, and then try to understand what this data is about. That's the wrong way. First, like I mentioned, make sure that you plan what needs to be collected, and then start looking for the data. So make sure you have a quality data. I will give you a real life example, or real world example. So whenever we create let's say a video about a particular content, we go through the analysis dashboard and see what people are looking for, and what the visitors are searching for a particular topic, and from which country, let's say, and which age group. And then based on that, we create the videos, or let's say we create the video for the content. I would say that's how the analysis should be done. First, you go through a particular plan, and then collect the data, and then make a decision out of that. Now there are a couple of tools also available in the market to gather the data. Let's say SurveyMonkey is one of the websites from where you can get the data. And then there are a couple of scrapping tools available online, or let's say with the Python library, which basically uses let's say, for an example, beautiful soup is there, and then Scrappy is there, with the help of which you can scrap the data from most of the websites. Data cleaning, if it is not done properly, then data analysis cannot be done. Even though if we are very much planned for the data collection, but still somewhere we will miss some kind of data, and then we have to take care of that. Sometimes we have inaccurate data, or let's say the data with the errors. So we have to clean that kind of data, and then replace with the data that is relevant. So for that purpose, we do the data cleaning, and it's sometimes also called the data scrubbing. So it's basically a crucial step, I would say, to ensure that the analysis, or let's say the models, the machine learning models to which we feed the data, should give you the accurate predictions. There are some common issues in the data sets. One of them is, of course, the missing data. So like I mentioned earlier, you need to know if there is a missing data or not in the data set. You need to make sure that either you delete that particular data with the missing values, or you replace it with some relevant information. Second common issue in the data set is, of course, the duplicate data. So sometimes the predictions goes incorrect if you have duplicate data. So make sure you don't have the duplicate data within the data set. Third way, or let's say the third common issue in the data set is, of course, the outliers. I think I have made 2 videos about outliers. So it's basically the data which goes outside the range of the data set, I would say. So those kind of data needs to be worked upon. Otherwise, it can again, create problems, or let's say issues while predicting the data. Now, let's discuss about what are the best effective ways to clean the data, or let's say the practices that are done to clean the data. First and foremost is of course do the documentation about the steps that you have done to process the data, and then do not depend on the algorithms only to clean the data, right? Sometimes you have to visualize it and then take appropriate actions to clean the data. Last but not the least, you have to make sure that you test the impact of the data cleaning that you have done, because sometimes you might come across overfitting and underfitting, right? So you have to take care of that as well. There are like the major industries using the data science is of course the stock market industry, or let's say stock market industry, which they fully like there are systems which are like fully 100% automated, and then for that the data cleaning, or let's say the data collection, data cleaning and analysis is done automatically. So for in that kind of industry, I would say data science is used 100%, but it's not dedicated to that department, or let's say that industry only. Even the farming industry nowadays using the data science to understand, let's say, the weather forecast, or let's say the climate, and then we have supply chain operations, or even a hospitality industry as well. All the industries do use the data science on the daily basis. Now let's also discuss some of the tools, or let's say the popular tools and technologies used in the data science. You must be knowing of course about Python, because Python is there in the news since some time now, and this is one of the technology that you can learn. And then there is R, is again good for statistics. Then you have SQL or SQL, structured query language, one of the most important thing to learn when you are playing with the data. Then you have Jupyter Notebooks, so it's basically an IDE, or let's say the place or a tool where you write the code. And if you don't have Jupyter Notebook, you can obviously use Google Colab as well, wherein it's a web interface wherein you write the code. Then you have machine learning libraries like scikit-learn and TensorFlow. These are the libraries which covers most of the algorithms when it comes to, let's say, the statistics or even the data processing. I will be quick when it comes to the skills that you need as a data scientist, or let's say in the data science field. One of them is of course is analytical skill, and this is one of the most important skill that you need to have, because if you don't understand the data, or if you don't know how to analyze the data, then this field is not for you. Because this is very much common, even if you don't know any programming language, or if you don't know any particular tool, that's fine, because you will survive. But if you don't have an analytical skill, then it's really tough to survive in this industry. Then the second thing is of course the programming skill. Like I mentioned earlier, you can learn Python, R, or any other language to be in the data science. Domain knowledge is again one of the most important topic, but I would say it's not that critical as well, because domain knowledge is more about knowing a particular domain. Let's say you are into stock market or healthcare, or let's say finance, or supply chain. So these kind of domains knowledge is good to have, but being a fresher, or let's say a beginner, I would say you might not have that kind of domain knowledge. Now last but not the least is the effective communication. We say that analyzing the data only may not make sure that you have a good job, or let's say you will have a good interview. You need to have the skill set about a storytelling as well. So once you go through the data and you come up with some analysis, then you need to have an effective communication as well to the storytelling process, right? You need to know how to tell what this data says, or what kind of intelligence does this data come up with. Just to give a background about me, what I do, I have a 13 years of experience. I started my career in 2010 or 11 or something. I did my engineering in IT from India. I know a couple of languages, not programming languages, but I'm saying the spoken languages, like I know in Hindi, English, and then Malayalam. I do understand Tamil. I have an experience in the software development. Let's say I have experience with the web development, desktop application development, data analysis, and then automation is something I'm really good at as well. So you give me something, and then I can automate the whole process in any given scenario. If you like this video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It's a long journey for sure. We will be covering 100 videos about data science, and if you have any doubts, or let's say if you want to know more about any particular topic, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be for sure replying to your mails, or let's say messages. Till then, take care, goodbye, eat healthy, stay active, and be happy. Bye.